Resources for people with lived experience. These websites and blogs feature the voices of those with lived experience who have attempted suicide. Live Through This, a collection of stories of suicide attempt survivors, as told by those survivors. Reasons to Go On Living, inspiring collection of stories of people who have attempted or seriously thought about dying by suicide. Talking About Suicide, collection of interviews of attempt survivors describing their experiences with suicide and recovery. Blogs by survivors, by Our Side of Suicide. Mental Health Warriors podcasts discuss topics around mental health with the goal of ending the stigma and the myths that surround mental health. Peer support groups. National Action Alliance for Suicide Prevention 2014 identifies the voices of those voices of those living with experience of a suicide attempt are essential for meaningful peer support. And mutual help groups, warm lines over the telephone, internet groups for online support, and mental health services delivered by peers. As of the writing of this toolkit, there was a significant lack of research examining peer support and its efficacy on suicide-related behaviors. So what's peer support by channel? The role of peer support in suicide prevention, advancing peer support in suicide prevention. Canadian Attempt Survivors Group. So find peer support groups across Ontario by Mood Disorders Association. Skills for Safer Living, A Reason to Hope, The Means to Cope. Manitoba's Andrew Dunn Organization. TEMA, I guess, is a peer support line for first responders. The line is open between 8 o'clock and 11 o'clock p.m. So 8 a.m. and 11 p.m. if you wish to speak to a fellow first responder. Counseling, find the right counselor. Find the right counselor might take time. May also take time to find the appropriate therapy and therapist that best suits you. As a starting point, you may want a conversation with your family physician. Doctor may be able to discuss with you whether medication is required in the short term, and may also be helpful in recommending a good counselor. All right. Then they got addiction service. Narcotics Anonymous, AA, Alcoholics Anonymous, Adult Children of Alcoholics, Addiction Services Directory, Changing the Language of Addiction. Coping suggestions and crisis planning. Crisis lines. Local distress center 1866 Appel for residents in Quebec. National Moral and Welfare Services for military families and Canadian Forces members. Crisis Services Canada. Pan-Canadian Network of Local and Regional Crisis and Distress Centers launched the new Canada Suicide Prevention Service. Enables callers anywhere in Canada to access crisis support using tech of their choice. Phone, text, or chat. Alright. So, is this the end already? No. Okay, how to support a loved one who is having thoughts of suicide. And then here's some scripts that they give people. I'm sorry to hear you're going through such a rough time, and I'm here for you, but we need to tell someone else how you're feeling. I can come with you to see the school counselor. So that's youth talking to another youth. If you're talking to a friend, it sounds like things are really going hard for you right now. I can't imagine what you're going through, but I know things will get better. The distress center is there for you to see what resources they might have that could help. I'm so glad you told me how you're feeling. I've been really worried about you. I feel like it's a good idea to talk to your parents too. Want me to come with you? So, risk of suicidality for family and friends of an attempt survivor or death by suicide. There's always a potential risk that a vulnerable family member or friends who have been exposed to a suicide attempt or a death by suicide may develop or have thoughts of suicide themselves. Alright. Suggested readings. Familial Transmission of Suicidal Behavior by Brent Melham. Paper looks at the effects of exposure to suicidal behaviors can have on family members. The Continuum of Survivorship. Definitional Issues in the Aftermath of Suicide by Sarel et al. This paper looks at the impact that suicide has on survivors. Telling your story safely. Telling your story can be scary. Just like every story related to suicide is personal, the decision to tell your story is equally as personal, and the way you decide to tell that story is up to you. Telling your story can bring great strength, however, be mindful that you tell your story safely, ensuring your safety and the safety of the persons learning from you. The following resources are suggestions that have resonated with the people who filled out our online survey. Alright, so I'm going to read the rest of this storytelling section in the next episode.